Once upon a time in the Ambu village, a village hidden in the leaves, surrounded by trees of many kinds, there lived a young girl called Amaka, a brilliant child who is about 21 years of age. She lives with her aunt. Her parents passed away when she was 5 years old. But because she was little, her aunt took her in. Amaka, the brilliant girl, she is known by different titles: the fruit bringer, the forest lover, a young girl with brave heart. She grew up with courage knowing she has no parents. Her aunt inspired her to be courageous and mindful of how she lived her life. Amaka loves going to the bush to look for good fruits to bring back home for both her and her aunt to eat and then sell the remaining ones at the market. She is a good farmer as well. One grateful afternoon, when Amaka went to their family land at the bush to plant and harvest her crops and bring back some fruits, she heard mysterious voices whispering, "Child, child, what are you doing here alone?" Amaka hearing voices, but as she turned, she couldn't find anyone talking to her, and the voice continued again, "Child, child, why are you here alone?" Amaka turned around again and she saw a giant serpent, a huge snake standing tall with boldness in front of her. Amaka was surprised as she was shaky. She couldn't believe what she saw. The serpent got closer to her and asked her, "Child, child, why are you here alone?" Amaka, caught in fear, thought she was dreaming. First, a huge snake as tall as a tree, and now a talking snake like a human being. However, Amaka did not know that the snake is the god of their land, the guardian, the one whom they worship, and the land of which Amaka was planting her crops is its favorite place, the place where the serpent sleep and relax. Sometimes the serpent shows itself at its own will. The serpent then said to Amaka, "I will grant you a wish if you bring food to me in 3 days' time and present it at the palm tree at the east when the sun set." After the serpent finished talking to Amaka, the serpent disappeared. Amaka quickly ran with full speed of an antelope. As she ran home, all the villagers were staring at her, wondering why she was running, because they have not seen her in such state before. Her aunt came out and took her in, and she said, "My child, what's wrong? Why did you run home like that? Who was chasing you?" Amaka said to her auntie, "I saw a huge and talking snake at the bush and it disappeared in front of my eyes." Her aunt was surprised and she couldn't believe what Amaka had said. "A talking snake?" Her aunt asked Amaka, and she replied, "Yes, auntie." Later that evening, her auntie reported the matter to the high chief of the village. The high chief instructed the guards to search the bush if they would find any snake. And so they went searching Amaka's farmyard in the bush, but they couldn't find any huge snake. However, they saw a small black snake eating yam leaves, and they shook their heads and left, not knowing that the little snake they saw was the huge snake Amaka saw but has turned little. The snake can turn big and small, and can even be invisible like it was when it was talking to Amaka without Amaka seeing it. A talking voice without physical form. Later that evening, the chief guard announced the preparation of the Ambu Yam Festival, the time where all the good farmers will present their best yams. The farmer whose yam is sweet and good will win the farmer chief title and will be granted a place among the high chiefs. He or she will be the king of farmers for 5 years until the next feast. The people of the Ambu village was very happy because during that day, many gifts will be given out from the palace. Amaka, after hearing the announcement, began to think. In her thoughts, she said, "How do I go about this when there is a huge serpent around my farm? What will be the chance that if I go, I won't see it?" Amaka, knowing her family background is poor and she only have her aunt, she wouldn't want to miss such great opportunity that would change her life forever. And she said the day of the feast is in 5 days, and if she did not register her name as a contestant in 2 days, she will miss it. Amaka quickly ran that evening to register her name. As she went, she remembered what the serpent told her about a wish to be granted her if she brings food in 3 days' time during sunset at the east behind the palm tree. But Amaka was afraid, as she said, "What if I become a snack for the serpent instead?" But with her brave heart, Amaka went the next 3 days as she prepared pounded yam and sweet egusi soup. She added fish and meat in it. She brought water and she placed it at the palm tree, and she prayed and made a wish at the palm tree. She said, "As you eat this food, O you great serpent, let my wish be granted." And she left. On her way back, she met an old woman at the bush. The woman looked at her and smiled, and she went her way. And so it was the 5th day, the day of the feast. Everyone was present except for Amaka. Amaka's aunt looked for her and couldn't find her. The high chief instructed the feast should begin, and anyone who is not present will be disqualified in 3 hours of waiting time. Amaka's auntie ran to Amaka's farmyard. On her way, she met Amaka going to her farm, and she told Amaka that the feast is about to begin. She followed Amaka to the farm to help her carry her yam. On their arrival to their farm, they saw their yam uprooted from the ground. About 15 big fat yams, big like the size of a pig. They opened their mouths. Amaka ran to the pantry and she couldn't find the food and the plate she put the food in. And so she knew it was the serpent doing. They quickly gathered the yams and carried them to the village where the feast is being held. It was almost time for disqualification, the chief said to them. Everyone's eyes was at them and their yams, and they wondered, what type of huge yam is this? The high chief sent the chief cook to collect 1 tubers of yam each from the contestants, and they cooked them and presented them at the high table, where the king and the rest of the chief would eat and give their scores. When the food was ready, the chiefs and the king ate, and it was time for them to give their opinion and scores. The high chief then told Amaka to step aside from the groups of farmers. Amaka was in fear of what her result will be because she was separated from the group, and they began calling the results. And so it was 3 farmers remaining, Amaka and 2 other male farmers. The chief sent the 3rd farmer out of the line, remaining Amaka and 1 male farmer. The king got up and said, "Young lady, you have been dismissed from the contest. You will not farm again like you normally do." Amaka breaks down in tears as she looked at the king, and the king said, "You are now the new chief of farmers. Your yam is not like any I have tasted. You are now the winner." Amaka, after hearing the full king's statement, her tears dried up quickly and she began to jump up and dance. The high chief brought her the farmer's cap, and she was named the chief of farmers. Later that evening, when she got home, she rejoiced with her aunt, and she said, "My prayers have been answered." She then went to the palm tree at her farm and prepared another food at the tree to thank the serpent. As she turned, she saw the serpent again, but this time she wasn't afraid because she knew the serpent meant well for her. And the serpent said to her, "Peace be unto you all the days of your time." Amaka smiled and went back home as the new chief of farmers.